the discrepancy. House Intel Committee Democrat Mike Quigley joins us now. Thank you, Congressman. Good to have you on. Appreciate it. Significance of this discrepancy.
I think that what we said at the beginning is don't read too much into all of this. What we learned from these call records is that it was a whole of the administration effort. What did Ambassador Sondland say? Everyone was in on the loop. They were all engaged in this. Clearly, this was the administration and the White House working in its entirety to move this scheme forward. I don't know that I can say exactly who each number is attached to that isn't identified.
Right.
And I think I told people, don't jump to the conclusions until we learn more.
Well,
the chairman said just the other day.
Go ahead. Finish your point.
Yeah, the chairman said just the other day, while judiciary moves forward, our investigation continues. We're going to continue to learn more.
So there were some Democrats who were jumping up and down that this was an important linkage that's going to have to be recalibrated if it doesn't come through. The mayor's been very clear that he doesn't know why he would have been calling OMB. He doesn't remember the phone call. He never spoke about Ukraine aid. He didn't know anything about it. Now, his tweets tonight may create another problem because he seems to be connecting Ukraine efforts to help with the Bidens to whether or not they'll get any help from the United States. I don't know why he'd want to be putting out that message right now. But here's why it mattered, Congressman. You guys need to show that the aid was held up as a matter of fact because it was used as leverage to get the announcement of the investigations. Do you think you can do that right now?
Sure. People ask me who our best witnesses so far. The President of the United States. And second after that, Mick Mulvaney. You read into this, nothing these witnesses did anything but corroborate what the President said back to, as you mentioned earlier, the whistleblower's complaint. The call record of the White House, Mick Mulvaney, and the consistent testimony of the cream of our diplomatic corps all leads to the same conclusion. The President, we know that they withheld this aid. It wasn't released until after there was public congressional pressure that it became public. Clearly, Ukrainians were aware of this.
Right.
So, look, we can get lost in the weeds here and lose the nuance of the most obvious fact. They talk so much, and you and I have talked about Latin phrases, a quid pro quo. I think the other one you and I referenced, res ipsa loquitur, it speaks for itself. In this case, the law that the President violated, the harm he did, speaks for itself. I just caution against reading too much into people thinking they know what this one number might mean.
The more proof, the less you have to listen to the prattle. Let me ask you something. When it comes to articles of impeachment, you guys have the task of tailoring now. And there's some concern that if you go back to Mueller, although I guess you could dovetail an obstruction, an article of impeachment that's obstruction then and now, but you may lose votes. Are you worried that if you reach back to Mueller, as we're hearing from some moderate Democrats, you may lose votes?
See, I don't know how listing more crimes loses votes. Under the Nixon's article impeachments, article number 3, it lists 4 instances in which he obstructed. This President has obstructed 4 times in one day by withholding documents.
But have you heard from any Democrats, keep it to Ukraine, don't go beyond that, Mike, or you're going to lose me?
I haven't heard people tell me that personally. I think it's pretty easy to add into an article that includes obstruction, the one that the special counsel Mueller referenced. He rarely talked to the press, but he came back and said in a press conference that he did not exonerate the President. He said he is leaving specifically the articles involving obstruction to the Congress to react. I read into that if it wasn't for the fact that he wasn't allowed to indict the President, he thought that those obstruction instances were something in which a President could be indicted or any other individual could. So I don't think it hurts the case to dovetail into an article 10 or 11 other instances in which the President of the United States violated the law and obstructed justice.
As long as it's not something that loses you votes, because I was talking to Pramila Jayapal today, obviously Democrat out of Washington State, and she was saying, no, we got to be with one voice. We can't have less than all of them. Now, obviously, that's the tactic of the Republicans, right, which is to speak all with one voice and have unanimity. In 1998 with Clinton, you had 31 Democrats go against the president and whether or not to proceed, and 5 voted against him on the actual articles of impeachment. But Mike Quigley, I appreciate appreciate you reading us into this process. Going to be a very important couple of weeks. You're always welcome here to give us the state of play. Congressman, thank you.
And we'll get our names straight. Thank you.
Take care.